Hey everyone, it's Carla from Carla's Cakes and welcome to Carla in the Kitchen. Today's a Black Forest day. We're making a beautiful Black Forest cake with chocolate, whipping cream from scratch, and a delicious cherry filling. And we're making the cutest little mini Black Forest cakes to match the big cake. Let's get started. All right, so let's make this Black Forest cake. For this recipe, you're going to need some flour, sugar, baking soda and baking powder, salt. You need cocoa, because of course it's a chocolate cake. We're going to need eggs, milk, oil, and vanilla extract. And it's a really simple recipe. We're going to put all of our dry ingredients right into our mixer. So I'll go ahead and put it in. And you know what, just to make it maybe a little bit easier, let's just go ahead and put that right in here. So all of our dry ingredients will go right into our mixer, into our bowl. So we got our flour, our cocoa, our sugar. This recipe is a high cocoa and high sugar recipe, so it's a nice sweet and chocolatey cake. And that was our salt, and now our soda, and of course our powder. So we're adding both because we want this cake to puff up and to spread out. That looks awesome. So I'm just going to give this a quick little stir on the mixer. If I can get it in. Perfect. Just a little quick mix. Right, so while that's mixing, I'm going to mix in my wet ingredients right into my egg mix. So I have my milk, just like that, my oil, and my vanilla extract. Perfect. And this looks awesome. So you see the cocoa is at the top and we have some flour at the bottom. So I'm just going to give it a quick little stir with my spatula just to kind of help everything get incorporated. Because I don't want to have too much flour on one side, cocoa on another side. Because when I mix everything, I want the cake to be completely even for when I put them in my pans. Okay. This looks pretty good. All right. So I can go ahead and add my wet ingredients. I'll just pour it all in. So it's a really simple cake recipe to make because it all just goes into one bowl. And I can turn this on. Now be careful when you turn it on because you don't want it to splash. So I'll just kind of pulse it a little bit. All right. That looks great. Now I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. And I've positioned my rack into the middle of the oven. And this is going to bake in the oven for about 35 minutes. Again, what you're checking for when your cakes are baking is when you open the oven, make sure that they're not wiggling when they come out because that means it's still wet. Make sure that it's nice and dry. And then you can insert a knife into the center and make sure that the knife comes out nice and clean. And then that's when you know that they're perfect. With your pans, you want to spray it with some cooking spray or with oil and flour it because it is a stickier cake, so make sure you add some flour as well, that way the cake doesn't stick to the pan. I'm just going to turn this up a couple notches. And I'll let that mix for about 3 to 4 minutes before adding them into my pans and into the oven. And when we come back, I'm going to show you how to dome these cakes and prepare everything for the inside. So let's make all the fillings for this cake. There's a lot of components because a Black Forest cake, of course, is a chocolate cake with cherries. We got chocolate shavings as well as a whipping cream for the center. So to start off, I have some whipping cream and some icing sugar, and I have a chilled bowl. So I actually did keep my bowl in the fridge because I want it to be nice and cold. It's going to help everything mix up when I'm making my whipping cream. So what I'm going to do to start off is I'm going to just pour in my whipping cream right into my mixer, into my cold mixer. Just like that. And I'm going to add in my icing sugar. And I'm going to whip this up. And I want to keep an eye on it because if I whip for too long, this will turn into butter. So I'm not looking for butter. I am looking for a nice creamy mixture. So let's just lock this. And I'm going to put it on slow at first because I just want everything to kind of get introduced. And then once that looks good, I'm going to bring it up a couple notches. And it's going to mix for about 2 to 3 minutes. It's always different though, so I am going to keep an eye on it. I want to create stiff peaks, but I don't want to go too stiff where it turns into butter. So I can just bring this up a bit. So I'll let that mix for now. In the meantime, I have my sour cherries and it's in the water, so it's in its juice. So I'm going to actually split it because I want to have the sour cherries on the side, and I'm going to use the juice to juice my cakes. So I'm just going to pour this right in to the bowl. Just like that. Whoop. Perfect. And of course I'm using my strainer for this just to help separate. So that looks great, and I just want to watch out for these cherries. Put these on the side. Oh my God, this smells so good. So I just want to make sure it's all juiced out, and I can actually just put this right back into this bowl here. Perfect, and we won't need the strainer anymore. So now the next thing we need to do to prepare, I just want to take a look at this. It looks still pretty good. Is I want to create my chocolate shavings. So I just grabbed some semi-sweet chocolate, and I'm just going to cut it up with my knife. And I just want to create just nice shavings, just like this. So with my knife, I'm just going on the edge, and I'm kind of just sliding it down the side of the chocolate to create the shavings. And I'm going to use these shavings to decorate the top of the cake. So I probably won't need all this chocolate, but I'll do 2 blocks of chocolate, and I'll create the shavings like that. Let me take a look. It still looks good. Yeah, you always want to take a look at your cream because if it goes, like I said, for too long, then it'll turn into butter. So what's awesome about this cake is all the components that are inside. So you have chocolate and cherry, more chocolate, and then of course the cream. But I was told recently that some people don't like the cherries maybe that's inside of the cake. So if you don't necessarily like a Black Forest cake with the cherries, then maybe you can switch it up and be a little creative and try it with some strawberries or with some other berries. Maybe a raspberry would be nice inside. Because if you've had too much Black Forest cake, then maybe you want something new, something a little bit different. That's what's good about every recipe is that you can follow a certain recipe, but once you make it once, then maybe you come up with some ideas to kind of invent your own style and to go with your own likings. So don't be afraid to ever switch up a recipe and be creative and add whatever you want. So this looks looking good. Let me check on this. So I'm going to actually bring this up a little bit faster. But now since I've gone a bit faster, I'm going to definitely keep an eye on it and make sure it's not turning into butter. Okay, so this is good, that was good. And I'll just put that right into my bowl. And if you don't know how to do the technique with the knife, or you're too scared or you don't want to try it, you can actually use a grater. A cheese grater sometimes works. You can go on the side. Okay, so this is looking good. I'm just going to check it now. So you can see here that if I stir this up, I get stiff peaks. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want to go any more than that because this is, if I go more, then like I said, it's going to turn into butter. So this is perfect. I'm going to stop it. This is great, and it's perfect for setting up the cake. So I can put this aside as well. There we go. So what we're going to do now is, of course, I've created the cakes. I've split them into 3 different pans, and I've already domed them. So I'll just take off the domes of each cake. But I'm going to keep the domes because I want to create a little mini cakes after using these. So I'll just keep them on the side. Like that. And this I can put over on the side. Now what I'm going to do is I want to add my cherry juice over the cakes. These are a stiffer cake, so I want to kind of moisten them up, and I'm going to use the juice from the cherries to do that. Since it's a cherry cake, or it's a cherry chocolate Black Forest cake, we can use this juice exactly to put it in, to put it over the chocolate cakes. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to use a knife. Sorry, not a knife, a spoon. And I'm just going to pour a little bit at a time of this juice right over the cakes. And I want to be careful because I don't want to put too much. So as you see how the cake just absorbs the juice. So just like that. And if you want to make this a bit sweeter, you can always add some sugar into the juice as well, maybe some icing sugar or regular sugar, and warm it up and create more like a syrup. All right, that looks good. Now we'll do the next one. Awesome. Okay, so all the juice is on the cake. This looks great. I'll just add the final touches here. And now it's ready to stack and prepare. I don't need this, so I can put this aside as well. And I have my wonderful Lazy Susan, which I love and I use all the time. So the first thing is I'm going to, or I guess not the first thing, this is probably like the fifth step now. So the fifth thing I'm going to do is, so the first thing of stacking is I'm going to add my cream onto my cake. So I'll put a little bit on the bottom just to help it stick. We're going to add our cake right in the center. Now I'm going to add my cream right on top of my cake. I'm just going to spread it out a little bit over the chocolate. This looks wonderful. It's such a beautiful consistency. It's a great texture for spreading. Awesome. And then on top of this, I'm going to put my cherries. So I'm just going to put, I'm not going to put it all the way around the edge because if I put it too close to the edge, then when I put the next cake on top, it'll come out. It might spill over. So I just want to kind of keep it in the center, like so. Like this. I'll help spread it out a bit. Awesome. Maybe a little more over here. Perfect. And now I'm going to add my second layer to my cake. Actually, sorry, I'm just going to put a little more over here as well. So these sour cherries, I got them from the grocery store and they were just canned sour cherries. But you can actually make your own mix at home using regular cherries, and you would just cook it with some sugar and some cornstarch and some water, and you kind of create like a syrup, like a jam. And you would cook it on high heat, and then once it's ready, you'd let it sit, and then you can put that over the cake, and you could use the extra syrup from your own mix and pour that over your cake instead of using a canned mix or canned cherries. But I like the taste of the sweet cherries from the can, so I'm okay with using the canned ones. And I don't have to worry too much about the top of the cake because I am going to cover it with the chocolate shavings. Like that. All right. That looks good. Okay, so let me clean up the sides here. So I still see some parts here, and I'm not trying to completely cover the cake because I kind of want to give it that naked look. And what that means is when you can actually see the layers of cake underneath your icing, kind of gives it a rustic look. And I personally love that look. If you want to cover it completely, then definitely go ahead. But if you want to keep that look, the natural look to the cake, then you would do what I'm doing. You would add your whipping cream and then just take a little bit off. Okay, so this is looking good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my whipping cream into a piping bag because I want to add some dollops around the cake where I can add my fresh cherries. So I'll just put that right into my bag, and I fitted it with a 1M tip on the end because it's going to give it that nice star look. I won't need too much. Awesome. And I'll go ahead and just put some dollops right on top. And around the cake. Perfect. I can put this aside. Now I'm going to add my chocolate shavings right into the center of this gorgeous cake, just like that. Just getting it around, all in the center. Like so. Awesome. And to touch it off, I've got my fresh cherries, and I'm going to put them around the cake. So I want to pick my best ones, and I want to pick ones with a stem, because I think it looks so beautiful when it has the stem on the cherry. And just around the cake, just to finish it off. I want to pick good ones, the best, the biggest ones. Oh my gosh, the color combination of the chocolate and the cherries with the whipping cream is absolutely so beautiful. I think those three colors together is gorgeous. And it's so romantic. I think this cake is such a romantic cake. So if you're looking for ideas, I suggest making this cake. Here you go. Almost done. Just 2 more cherries with a nice stem. There we go. Perfect. Looks awesome. It looks beautiful. Oh my gosh, it's delicious. And so now, next what we're going to do is I'm going to create some really cute little mini cakes that are going to go awesome with this one. So now let's make our super cute mini versions of a Black Forest cake, and I'm using a heart cutter for this because, let's face it, Black Forest cakes is such a romantic cake and it's so cute, so I think the heart is perfect for this. So what I'm going to be using for this little mini cake is I kept my domes or my crowns from my cakes from before. Remember I told you to keep those? This is why. So we're going to actually cut little hearts from the crowns. I have some extra sour cherries. I have some of the juice. I have some of our beautiful chopped up chocolate. And of course I have some fresh cherries to add a cherry on top. So to start off, let's go ahead and cut out our heart cake. So I can move this over out of the way. just to give us some extra room. And if you want to make these cute cakes for someone special, then I highly recommend it. I think it's so cute. But if you want to maybe do this with someone special, then that's always a good idea too. You guys can partner up and make these adorable cakes together. So I'm just going to cut out some hearts with this. Each mini cake, I'm going to put about 2 layers of cake on each one. So that will be for one cake. These ones, I could probably get about 3 slices. So I'll be able to make a total of 8 slices. So then that would be 4 cakes. So let's just cut these out. And this is a perfect cake for making mini cakes because it's a nice stiff cake. It's perfect for stacking. Sometimes when you stack mini versions of cakes, if they're really soft, they'll tend to crumble. But when they're nice and stiff like this, it's absolutely perfect. And isn't this so cute too? Like maybe you can do something with a cake like this. This would be adorable. If you do a bunch of layers of cake, cut the circle and then fill that up with something on the inside. I don't know. I'm trying to think of an idea maybe for the next episode of how we can use these domes because this is so pretty. How with the hearts cut out from the center, I think it looks wonderful. There we go. Perfect. So I won't need these anymore. I can just place that on the side. And now to work with this, let's put these mini cakes on my cutting board. And of course, just like what we did with the larger version of this cake, we are going to paint them with a little bit of the cherry juice, just to give it that extra hint of cherry, as well as make them a little bit softer. So let's flip these over, just like that. And again, we're just going to add a little bit of the cherry juice over each one. We don't want to put too much because, like I said, I don't want this cake to crumble. It is going to be more of a delicate cake than the last one. So I'll just put just the 1 spoon on each is perfect. Just like that. This is wonderful too for a dessert table. If you're preparing a dessert table, you can make these little heart cakes and put them on the side of your larger cake. And you can do this with any type of cake. It doesn't just have to be the Black Forest cake. So if you're making, maybe a red velvet cake, you can do red velvet hearts with cream cheese in the center. Any type of cake. Just replicate your larger cake and make a smaller cake. So that looks good. Now, if you remember, first what we're going to do is I'm going to place my mini heart on the bottom like this. So we'll just place these 2, and I'm going to do the same with this one. So we can make the base of our cake. So 1 and 2. Now I have my whipping cream. I didn't get rid of the extra. I'm going to keep this because we're just going to fill the center of this cake. Like this. And this one. Great. Just add a little more here. Now I'm going to add my chocolate shavings. We didn't do this on the larger cake, but this one, because it's a smaller cake, I want to give it a little bit of a crunch. So just a little bit. I don't want to put too much. And I'm actually going to make sure to use the smaller pieces for this one. I don't want to use the larger ones. We'll save the larger ones for the final touches on the top. Just like this, just to give it a kick of chocolate. There we go. Okay, now the next step, of course, is to add our cherries. I'm just going to add 3 to each. So I'll just place 1, 2, and 3, and we'll do the same all the way through. Like so. And this would honestly be perfect just like this if you want to make 8 mini cakes like this instead of topping them off with your top border. And I'll just add a 3rd one like this. So that's all I'll need for this because for the top of the cake I'm going to use the fresh cherries. Now I'm going to, of course, place my top cake on top. Top layer. Oh, it smells so delicious. And I can feel how nice and moist it's already getting from the cherry sauce. Can't wait to try this. Okay, great. And of course, now let's add our final touches. So I'm just going to do the same thing with a heart shape icing. So this one, I just want to help it go down a bit there. Like so. And finish off with our chocolate shavings and then top it off with our cherries. So it looks wonderful. Oh my God, this is so cute. Like I said, it's such a romantic little treat. If you're not looking to do something so romantic, then of course you can always just use a circular cutter and do the exact same thing. You can even make little cute square bites. So you can use a square cutter. This one's a little too big. Let's add this one. Awesome. And what Black Forest cake wouldn't be a Black Forest cake without the cherry on top? And let's see here. Perfect. And there we go. We have our gorgeous little mini heart-shaped Black Forest cakes. There we go. Isn't that so adorable? I love making anything mini. This is probably my favorite thing of everything. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you love Black Forest cake just as much as I do. And maybe you'll be making a little mini cake as well. We'll see you next time.